Hey there, Shamans. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm here to coach you up on all things Restoration Shaman. For whatever reason you're doing Restoration Shaman, maybe you're Enhancement Shaman at heart and your guild really needs you to be a Restoration Shaman. Maybe it's the only way you can get raid access. Restoration Shamans are insane, one of the best classes, best healers for the horde. Chain heal is ridiculous. We'll get to all of that. This is a one-stop shop video for everything Restoration Shaman. I have been doing a crash course on the Shaman. I've played World of Warcraft since vanilla. I've gone all the way through tanking, DPS, healing. I love every aspect of it, and I'm trying to soak in everything. And now that I have done that, I want to give it all to you guys in one package deal video to relay every single thing I possibly can. I was just recently in one of the top guilds on the server and in the world at this point as far as classic fresh, and they have some of the best Restoration Shamans. They are, not me, and I have learned everything I possibly can from them, and I think it's really useful for a beginner who is just learning this, and I just learned all of this awesome information to be able to give it to other new beginners and be able to kind of understand the learning curve of what's going on here and give you an actual video that hits every single aspect of every single thing you'll need to learn about Shaman. So we're going to get right into that. Spec options is the first thing we're going to be talking about here. So spec, this is going to be the easiest thing to start off with. We are going to be doing spec, totems, rotation, keybinds, twisting totems, what that is, how to do it really easy. Macros, weak auras, consumables, and gear, covering it all. So here we go. For your spec, first off, you're going to obviously be restoration. There is deep restoration, and you're going to be able to throw some points into enhancement as well. So this is the path, and I'm going to try and give you some branches and options if you want to, but I'm also going to make sure you know which ones are must-haves. So Tidal Focus is a must-have. You have to do this, reduce the cost of your healing spells. Absolutely obvious. Same thing here. You're going to want to get all into totems, especially if you're doing totem twisting. You could do 3 here and 2 here if you wanted to prioritize this. This is also absolutely amazing. So really, I would say this is probably the priority process here. You will be maxing this out though, especially if you're totem twisting. We'll get to that too later. Totem Mastery for your range in your totems is amazing. And then at this point now, okay, what do we do? I'm going to max out the rest of these totems. So now we have all of these here maxed out, and you need one more point to be able to keep going down the tree. And none of these are that amazing. You definitely don't want this. This is for enhancement shamans. You definitely don't want this because you're dying and stuff. You want to stay alive. And threat is not really needed, especially in raiding. This might be helpful in like dungeons and stuff. If there's a bunch of things running around, you keep dying. Tanks can't hold aggro, but this is not something you want in raiding. This is these two are the toss up here. In general, you are not going to be using Healing Wave as much unless you are a tank healer shaman, which usually the priests are going to be doing that. So in general, I'm going to put 1 point here just because if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd go here. You're not going to be taking a lot of raid-wide damage. There's one fight in Molten Core that has some AoE pulse damage. It will come up more later, so this is something you do want to pick up later on for sure. But just in case, if you don't know if you're going to be a tank healer or not, it is nice to have this for the utility. But in general, you're going to be casting mainly chain heal. We'll get to that in the rotation section. And then obviously you want to max this one out 100%. You need to get down to Mana Tide. You got to get Nature's Swiftness, and you in general, this is back to the tank healing thing. If you are a tank healer and you want to be a nice, useful shaman to where maybe you are healing the same person over and over again, then yes, you want to go ahead and pick this up. But in general, this is only off of Healing Wave, which you don't really cast that often. So you absolutely can get away with not using this and not using this as well. So I'm going to put this here just because I'm trying to show a general useful shaman that also could be the tank healer and raid healer utility, right? So we have all of this, and then I am going to say the next thing I'd want to do is put 1 point into this. This 1% crit on heals is better than these other two. Then you obviously want to max this one out, and then here you go. That is the 31 points as far as priority goes. So we're going to come back to it because we do want to hit some stuff over here in enhancement. You want to hit this 5% mana. Of course, you want more mana, and you get 2 points right here for your grounding. Grounding totem doesn't really matter in PvE, but for your stone skim tone to be a little bit better as far as tanks goes. That's, I guess, nice, but not really needed. This is the spot. You have 13 points left. If you want to go deep resto, you were literally just going to fill in the rest of this tree over here. If you wanted to do that, you would fill in the rest of this, you'd fill in the rest of this, you'd fill in the rest of this, and you'd be set right there. That's a great spec right there. You can absolutely go and do that. What I would recommend, though, as far as how I'm going to be trying to show this thing is right here. You would want to. Oh, sorry, I put 1 point there. There we go. Right here, I would put 3 more points into this and grab enhancing totems. The Strength of Earth and Grace of Air is important. It's going to increase raid damage. The other 4 people in your group, you're going to be buffing their strength and agility, especially if you're twisting totems. If you're twisting totems, I absolutely say to do this. If you're not twisting totems, then okay, go ahead and remove those points, go full deep resto, and you're set. But I do this spec because I do totem twist. I fully believe in totem twisting. It's more fun for me. It's more engaging to keeping track of. We'll talk about that in a second, though. So once you have this, you come back in here and you max out the rest of this because we only have 4 more points after this. You for sure do this. With these 4 points, you can essentially choose which one of these 2 that you want. If you want to stay versatile and you're Molten Core and you're raiding and all this stuff, go ahead and put them here. You're set. And you're going to be able to be your solid tank healer because your improved healing wave and your healing way, those 2 are your tank healer, your single, keeping one person up and alive. You're going to be able to heal them faster with your big heals, and they're going to be able to get that scaling bonus from your stacking healing wave buff. That's what I would do. And that's all your points. There you go right there. If you wanted to take 5 points, take points out of this and put them in there, you absolutely could do that, and then you could rock this. Absolutely. If you also wanted to, you know for a fact that you're just going to be doing chain heals, you absolutely could take this out of here and put them in here if you really wanted to. This is totally viable. But I'm not worried about threat even in dungeons, and you're a shaman, and if you have a shield and stuff, you're a bit more durable in that than anyway. So you're fine keeping them there. And in general, this is probably the spec I am going with currently. I really don't ever use healing wave, and if I do, okay, I'm just trying to mana bomb, keep casting heals at this one person. I'm not too worried about that 0.5 seconds, especially in a raid situation. And then this is going to be useful in times where there's AoE pulses or you're taking little tick damage here and there. And if you really wanted to, you could hybrid between the 2, but there you go. And that's your spec. So now, totems. We're back into it with totems now. You are the most useful thing about shamans is their totems. No offense, but the Wind Fury totem is king. You should be prioritizing 100% uptime on your Wind Fury totem. It's ridiculous, and your DPS will love you if you put it on there, and they will ping you and whisper you, why am I not getting totems if they don't get it? So Wind Fury totem is absolutely, as far as your 4 elements here, I'll do them in order. Your Earth totem is always going to be Strength of Earth. It's pretty much always the only thing you'll ever cast as far as your Earth totem slot is always going to be Strength of Earth. I'll talk about totem ranges and stuff here in a second. But sometimes you might need Tremor, Onyxia, Magmadar. Certain fights you're going to need Tremor. That is very, very useful for charm, sleep, fear effects, all that stuff. Drop it down. Earth totem. Those are really the 2 Earth totems you'll only ever use. Next slot is Fire. Fire totem is essentially not used most of the time. It's a don't worry about the DPS. If you want to put down a searing totem to single target down a boss and just it's super easy. It's very low mana cost for damage. Sure, go ahead and do that. But it's usually not worth it to even have to think about that. You have other things to be worrying about. If you're super great, then go for it. And then sometimes in AoE fights, if you have the global cooldown, you could put down a Fire Nova totem, but your time's better spent healing and dropping your Wind Furies and all that type of stuff. So you probably shouldn't have been wasting your global cooldowns on those Fire Nova totems unless you absolutely have the time or you need needing or missing out on damage. So the most important totem though is your air totem, your Wind Fury totem. That is 100% uptime, and I have plenty of add-ons and other things to show as far as making sure you can maximize 100% uptime. I'm talking trash, I'm talking bosses, everything. You want to keep Wind Fury up all the time. And then Grace of Air totem and Tranquil totem are your other 2 air totems that are nice. Grace of Air gives a bunch of agility, which essentially is 3% crit. If you want to think of it like that, it is a 3% crit buff to your warriors and rogues, and it's even better for your rogues and hunters. They actually get even more benefits than just crit. So Grace of Air is amazing. And then the other side is Tranquil Air, which Horde in general suffer from threat issues and all that kind of stuff. And if you have some crazy pumpers in your group that you are in, you can absolutely weave and go back and forth between Wind Fury and Tranquil Air. You can get both at the same time, Wind Fury and Grace of Air, or Wind Fury and Tranquil Totem. Tranquil Totem reducing the threat of everybody in your group. Can't forget about Water Totems. You do have 2 viable Water Totems and technically a Fire Totem as well, which in Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, lots of use for Fire Resistance Totem. If it's a heavy Fire Resistance fight, of course, drop your Fire Resist Totem. Ragnaros, Berengen, sure, drop the Fire Resist Totem. But in general, it's probably going to be a Mana Spring Totem, especially if you don't have a lot of gear. But if mana's not a problem for you and you aren't running then you can use Healing Stream. And Healing Stream is going to be a nice little trickle heals. So in general, I would say I prioritize Healing Stream, unless it's a fight and if I'm losing mana or we're moving fast, which we'll talk about all that in a second too. Then you do Healing Stream or Mana Spring Totem, which is just the default, the one you get. Mana Tide Totem is part of your talents. That is the best totem for water. You should be dropping that essentially off cooldown, or saving it for a progression fight if you really need to make sure you have mana for that. Depends on where your guild's at, what you're doing there. But one thing I was making a mistake of as a first Restoration Shaman was I was really holding on to my cooldowns. Nature Swiftness, the instant cast heal, and Mana Tide. I was holding on to those for the right moments. You really should be just constantly using them. Unless you're doing literally a progression fight and you can't get past it, obviously save those for key moments there. But you should be dropping Mana Tide Totem as soon as you can. So if I'm starting to heal, I'm starting to heal on a fight, okay, cool. I'm getting low, and drop it. I'm immediately dropping it. Right there, it's dropped. It's only at 12 seconds. I'm going to keep healing. I keep doing my thing. You want to put that thing on cooldown as soon as possible. Whether you're pulling trash and you're moving through, killing bosses, you want to get that thing on cooldown as soon as possible so it comes back sooner. There you go. And then that pretty much takes care of all totems. So now for twisting in general. I want to talk about what twisting is as a concept, and then I'll talk about different ways to make that easier. So how this works, and before I get into that too, I do want to do 2 tips on totems. Totems don't break line of sight. So I'm going to focus on the totem thing. Right here, I can heal this little guard right here. I can heal them, cool. But if I go behind here, it's line of sight. I can't heal them, right? So totems do not work this way. If I go over here and I drop a totem, I'm going to drop a Grace of Air Totem. I'm going to drop it, actually. Grace of Air Totem always drops in your back left. So I'm going to put Grace of Air Totem right there. So Grace of Air Totem, this 100% is line of sight. I have line of sighted my Grace of Air Totem. Totems do not follow line of sight. I've seen some shamans think that they do. They do not. You can put them there. It is a area from that thing, period. I could be on the other side of this wall. I'm hiding. It's still, you can see up top here, I still have the Grace of Air buff. So it does not care about line of sight. Now, what does matter, and I'll put another Grace of Air Totem right here on the edge of this line right here. What does matter is range, right? So a 10 yard range or whatever is probably around about here. You want to know your range of your totems. But if you actually put in your range right here, you get this range situation. That is really good, and you should be having that, or it's also from 3-piece. But one little trick here that I have is if you take your camera all the way out, like you zoom your camera all the way out, if you look straight down to the ground and you see my little totem right there at the top of the screen, that is essentially the max range. It's a nice little check. If you're in the middle of doing stuff and there's not, from my knowledge, there's not an add-on of some kind that shows a number of the range or whatever. But right now, that is my range. If I go past that and I go beyond that and I no longer can see it on my screen, you're going to see the Grace of Air buff drop off of me right about. Let's see, it's not in view here. And there it goes. So this is a good range. I like to see, like, if I can see it, we're good. So it gives me a little bit of a buffer. I know that it's in range of myself, or in the case of the melee, right? So if I'm about this far away. So if my melee are in there, I can drop a totem. If I drop a totem right here on myself, let's say the melee in the middle of this raid boss, the man is right there. I can do this, and I can still see the boss right there. This little line here. I know I can drop a Grace of Earth and Wind Fury and whatever. And also keep in mind, some totems drop behind you. So that's why I like to have a little bit of a buffer there, to where I know that if I drop a totem here, my melee DPS that are right here attacking this boss, they still get the buff, and you can still see I still have it up on my screen here. It's still good. Now, if they travel too far and I get in here, it's gonna drop off, and I'm no longer gonna have that Grace of Air. You want there you go. It's about right here. So anyway, that's a nice little camera check that I kind of use myself to kind of in the middle of a combat being able to know. And it's also good to get a pulse check of like, okay, this is about how far, and gauge the distance of your totems. Now, how to twist. Here's something, as you notice on my screen, I have a nice little bar here. All of these add-ons and macros and everything is going to be linked down in the description of this video. But it's also some things are on my Discord as well. But there is the Grace of Air Totem. You can see it's ticking down. This buff right here, if I'm just going to go ahead and show all these, this buff is an add-on. I'm going to also have in the description. It shows all totems. It just shows a bunch of different totems that I have. It shows them all right there, and it has them all in a nice little line. It has your air. I move the air in front. Air and earth are in front for me, just because those are the most important. Then water and fire is least important. And it has them all right here. It lists off who's getting it and all that kind of stuff. It's a very, very nice weak aura. I highly recommend getting this weak aura. It'll be down in the description. These little things are add-ons that I made myself to just show me that I have the buff currently. So we can ignore those right now. But the main thing we're looking at is this little line right here. So here's how totem twisting works. Whenever I drop Wind Fury, there is a 10-second timer that's counting down. And if you see up here, I have the buff. It says 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds or so, it's about a 10-second buff. 9 really, but then it does linger on your weapon. So Wind Fury, let's just say, gives you a 10 seconds of Wind Fury on your weapon. Every 5 seconds or so, it refreshes that, right? But if I leave the area, and if I'm no longer, I just nature soaked myself. If I leave the area and I'm over here now, it no longer is going to give me that Wind Fury. And you see I have 5, 4, 3, it's not refreshing anymore, 2, 1, 0, pay attention, see it's still on, 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 and then it falls off. Very, very huge for you to understand when you're twisting totems, to not give you a panic attack of having to get the totem up immediately. There is a grace period. It's not a consistent grace period, but there is a grace period where the Wind Fury weapon still stays on your weapon. So what we can do, and what totem twisting is I'm going to drop Wind Fury totem. So here's Wind Fury totem. I'm immediately dropping Grace of Air totem. So right now, there is not a Wind Fury totem down on the ground. There is a Grace of Air, and you can see I have the Grace of Air buff and the Wind Fury buff. 2, 1, and it's going to drop off. And now I have only Grace of Air, which right now is the problem. You have to have 100% uptime on Wind Fury. So you want to drop that thing right now. There's your Wind Fury, there's your Wind Fury, and then you can weave to whatever else you want. This is what totem twisting is. Basically, you drop your Wind Fury totem, and immediately the next global cooldown, drop another air totem. Probably Grace of Air, or if you're worried about threat, Tranquil Air. So it looks like this. I'm ready to go. Right here, the fight starts. Wind Fury, Grace of Air, immediately back to back, the same global cooldown. And right now you see I have both buffs on me. That's amazing. And then right now, 3, 2, 1, 0, and Wind Fury, Grace of Air. And then here we go again. And that cycle repeats. So essentially the life of a totem twisting Resto Shaman, a bit stressful. You have 10-second windows of panic of, oh my gosh, right now, go, Wind Fury, Grace of Air. Now I can heal. I can heal, I can do something. I can heal, I'm healing. All right, 5, 4, 3, I can still heal. It's still, my group has both buffs. And Wind Fury, Grace of Air. Okay, cool. And heal, I'm healing. You see what I'm saying? I'm moving around. I'm dropping my Strength of Earth. I'm making sure that's down. I have other things to do. 3, 2, and Wind Fury, Grace of Air. And we can continue on. You are juggling. You are literally juggling everything you possibly can. So you basically, Wind Fury, Grace of Air, or Wind Fury, Tranquil Totem, either one of those matter. That is twisting. And then you have about a 7-second window to do whatever you want. Twiddle your thumbs, pick your nose, cast a bunch of heals. That's fine. What this normally looks like, and what my recommended rotation for this would be, is chain heal. Or healing wave if you're casting healing wave. Only if you're healing wave, you have that 0.5 second reduction, you're going to be able to do this, because healing wave and chain heal are both a 2.5 second cast, assuming that you have those 5 talent points in we talked about earlier. But here's what it would look like. I want you to watch this little bar that's going to come up. I'm going to do Wind Fury, Grace of Air, back to back, and then you're going to be able to get 3 chain heals in before you Wind Fury, Grace of Air once again. So watch, here we go. Fight starts, here we go. Wind Fury, Grace of Air, and chain heal. 1 chain heal, 2 chain heal, 3 chain heal. And here comes perfect timing, and Wind Fury, Grace of Air, chain heal times 3. That is your rotation. And you could just do that for an entire fight, every single fight, and you would be great. Now, don't forget, drop Strength of Earth. Don't forget to drop Strength of Earth. A lot of times you're going to be able to drop Strength of Earth as you're running in. Like as you're running in and you can get to a spot where you can just drop 1 Strength of Earth for the whole fight and you're good. Cool, do that. Knock it out. Be done. And then you can go start doing your totem twisting rotation. So it's literally totem twist which is 2 global cooldowns of Wind Fury and something else, and then 3 chain heals. 3 chain. A lot of times I will do chain heal, and then maybe 1 lesser heal, which actually what we can get to talk about that right now. Healing spells. You have 3 of them as a shaman, and healing stream totem kind of counts, but not really. Your 3 heals. Healing wave. You are only going to be using healing wave to heal a tank, and you're going to be downranking that heal. You basically want to downrank to probably rank 6, maybe rank 7 if you don't have a lot of plus healing. We'll talk about gearing and stuff in a second too, but rank 6 is a super mana efficient rank to be using. If you have a whole bunch of plus healing, you can downrank to rank 5. If you don't have a lot of plus healing, maybe you should be doing rank 7. Feel that out, and that's probably where you should go. I personally, I have my plus healing is about 600. I have pretty much full previs as far as things that are before Molten Core. Again, I'm an enhancement shaman by trade, but this is the full-blown thing. I've healed all the way vanilla content before as well, but this is your good setup for your healing wave. There is one little caveat. If you wanted to downrank to rank 1 healing wave, just to be able to stack up this healing way buff, you can do that. That's a bit more advanced, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But if your tank's going in and you want to cast some rank 1 healing ways to get your buff stacked up on there, and then you might be able to get some ancestral healing procs from a crit heal on them to get some armor buffs on them. That's kind of nice, but only really do that if you're a tank healer. And healing wave in general is only really good for tank healing. Or if you're low on mana and you have somebody in the group that took a big chunk of damage and you know they're not going to take another chunk of damage for a little bit, then healing wave sure would be more mana efficient. But in general, 90+% of the heals that you cast is going to be chain heal. Rank 1 or rank 3 chain heal, one of the two. You can use rank 2, but rank 2 I see is kind of like a weird middle ground. Rank 1 chain heal is great for light raid damage and things are going out, and you have a bunch of shamans in the raiding that are also healing, so you don't want to be wasting mana with overhealing. Rank 1 is very, very good for maintaining that overheal, keeping your overhealing down, and being very efficient. Rank 3 is, oh my gosh, the raid's taking a bunch of damage, and here we go. If mana's not an issue, and you're fighting a boss, it's a progression boss, and your mana bar is not an issue, then you should be spamming the rank 3. But in general, most of the time, rank 1 chain heal, there you go. That's fine. Lesser healing wave. Very good for your oh shit button. Someone just took a chunk of damage. You don't know if they have aggro of something. You don't know if they're standing in something, whatever. Really fast. That is your best fast heal to get them up. Well, I guess Nature's Swiftness is your best fast heal to get them up, which kind of brings us into macros. So the macros for this, we'll go ahead and get into macros here. Macros for your Nature's Swiftness looks like this. I'm going to have this in the description as well. But show tooltip just gets you to be able to, when you hold your cursor over it, it shows Nature's Swiftness. You can have that or not. Slash stop casting is so that if you're in the middle of casting a heal, you cancel that heal and immediately Nature's Swiftness. Immediately, right? That's pretty huge, because if somebody needs a heal right now in your middle of a 2.5 second cast, they might die, especially if this is the situation when you use Nature's Swiftness. So you have your stop casting there, slash cast Nature's Swiftness, slash cast. I have this at mouse over exist healing wave. That means I could literally hold my cursor over a raid frame and still get it off. I don't have to actually physically target them to do it, right? I can hold my mouse over it and hit that right there. And speaking of mouse overs, I also, side note, have 2 different Nature's Swiftness. I have one for healing wave, max rank healing wave, by the way, and another one for max rank chain heal. I have both of them because I do think I see myself using both back and forth. Oh my gosh, the group's taking a whole bunch of damage. Max rank chain heal into a full chain heal casts, right? So that's another thing you can do there as far as Nature's Swiftness goes. But I also am going to talk about key bindings right now. I'm trying to hit the full picture of everything to kind of get everybody thinking about all the different things you need to think about. But I personally, like I just said, I have 2 different Nature's Swiftness, one for chain heal, one for healing wave. I have one button for healing wave, which is rank 6. That's the one I just said. If I hold down shift, it is max rank healing wave. So it is a nice thing in general for healers too. If you want to have a certain rank of a spell be a certain button, and then shift of that same thing be a different one, you can absolutely do that. For myself, also as a disclaimer, maybe I'll put this in the description too, I use ESDF to move. If that's mind-blowing to you, I'll have the video for why I do that down in the description. But basically, ESDF, or whatever your movement keys are, all my heals are right around this. All my heals are right around this. That's the most important thing. Keeps your hand nice in the pocket, and you're good right there. So I have rank 1 and rank 3 as 2 different buttons instead of the whole shift thing. Because you're pressing rank 1 and 3 so often, I like to have them back and forth. So R and T are my chain heals. R is rank 3, T is rank 1, and then Q right here is lesser healing wave. And you always want to max out lesser healing wave. Don't downrank that one. And there you go. That's every other keybind. You want to make sure you have your mana tide. Another nice thing, quality of life thing for me is mouse wheel scroll up and down is mana tide. Either one, up and down, both is mana tide, just to kind of hit that on there. And then shift mouse wheel scroll up is my mana potion. Shift mouse wheel scroll down is my dark rune for mana. So my mouse wheel scrolling is mana, which is nice there. And then all of my totems are on my mouse. I have one of the gaming mouses right here. All of my totems are on my mouse, and I have my air totems all together right here, my earth totems right here, water totems, and it's all nice and organized on the mouse, which helps my brain think about, I need to drop totems for each category, and the rows of my mouse match up to that. It feels great, and it helps up here as well. So that's as far as healing spells go, key bindings, all of that. And then the only thing I left out on totem twisting is people a lot of times ask, when do you totem twist? You want to totem twist? In my head, I always totem twist, unless something disqualifies me or makes me not want to totem twist. You pretty much always totem twist unless your mana can't keep up with the pace or the damage or difficulty or whatever of the content. If you're going in a speed run, don't totem twist. If you're doing a extremely hard boss fight and there's a whole bunch of mana and people are dying and it's like, don't totem twist, right? If there's a strain on your mana for whether it be speed or amount of healing you need to do, don't totem twist, right? Drop your Inventory, drop your Grace of Earth, or drop your Strength of Earth, and then in Mana Tide, Mana Spring, and just heal, right? That's what you should be doing if mana is an issue, right? So if mana is an issue, don't twist. Make sure Mana Spring totem for your water totems are down. Keep dropping Mana Tide off cooldown, and you're good. And we'll talk about consumables here in a second. But high raid damage, a good example, I twist all through Molten Core, everything except for the trash between after Baron, all those fire lava packs where there's they do so much raid damage that people can get one shot, all this crazy stuff happens. Really hard trash packs, you don't totem twist. You just drop everything and just keep everybody topped off and heal. You don't want to be totem twisting and people start dying. No. So there's that. Now, macros. A little bit all over the place. I apologize. I'm trying to hit everything, but there's just so many things and they overlap. So last thing I want to say here with macros is this is my macro for pretty much every heal. I'm going to put just one of these in the description, but hopefully you see show tooltip, which shows the tooltip of whatever heal it is, /cast, and there's a bracket, and it says at mouse over, meaning anything I'm this guard, these targets, whatever I'm mousing over. If I have a mouse over, that's what the exists means. That says prioritize that. If you have a mouse over, heal the mouse over. And if not, you see two little brackets after that, this little section right here. These two little brackets means if that's not the case, then just cast this spell, right? I do have another video on macros and how they work if you're interested in the logic of them and how they work, but this is it. You can swap out this healing wave for just this section right here where it says healing wave rank 1. You can swap that section out for any spell you want and it will mouse over. If you look at this spell, as you can see, all of these different ones, you can see everything's the same on all these except that one little section is what you can see. I have the rank changed. If you want different ranks, you can have it says parentheses, rank, space, the number, close parentheses. That's how you can change you can just edit it just that spot. And if you want to do max rank, you can just delete that whole rank thing and it defaults to the max rank. But I do that for cleansing diseases, cleansing poison, all that kind of stuff. Another thing with the totems is you do have a potential water slot for your poison and disease cleansing totems. Doesn't come up all the time, but especially will towards later raids after Molten Core. But there's that as well. And that's mouse overs, and there's all of that. Now, there's one thing I want to say for the totems. This button right here. I'm going to put this button, I'm going to put it, I guess I'll just put it right here, okay? This is a totem twisting macro. I'll also have this in the description too. It says cast sequence. A cast sequence tells the game, I'm about to tell you a list of spells that I want to cast back to back to back to back to back while pressing the same button, right? And this reset equals 2 says how long before I want to start that process over, right? So what all this macro says is I want to cast Wind Fury Totem and then immediately after cast Grace of Air Totem, right? I put the ranks in there, which I'm going to save that last little section there at the end here. But this is this is what the macro is. So what this is going to be, I'm going to physically click it right now so you can see it happening, right? I'm going to click it once and you see it change to Grace of Air. I'm going to click it again, now cast Grace of Air, and it goes back to Wind Fury. It only goes back to Wind Fury because 2 seconds have passed. So if I click it and then don't do anything, 1, 2, the button changes back to Wind Fury. And you can see this button right here. If I click it after the global cooldown, 1, oh, well, my game lagged. If I click drop to Wind Fury, 1, 2, it goes back to Wind Fury. So if you click it back like you're supposed to, it does both, right? So if you are spamming this thing, dropping it, you get both down, you get your Wind Fury, you get your Grace of Air, and you're good to go, right? Oh, I'm actually typing in this thing. Oops. There we go. So if I want to actually, I'm going to put this on an actual button. I'll put it on 2 for right now for the sake of this. So I'm pressing it and global cooldown, pressing it. There we go. Right. And you're able to go back to back like that. If you want to give yourself a more of a grace period and you're not like spamming it like that, you can do a reset 3 if you want to give yourself some more room there. In fact, I'll even just demonstrate that right now just so people can know how macros work. I'm going to put a reset. Actually, I'm going to put reset 10 right there. So if I put reset 10, I press Wind Fury. You see it goes to Grace of Air. I press Grace of Air, and now it's going to keep going. And I've done through the cycle actually, and it keeps going like that. But it'll reset. So I like to have the 3 seconds, right? I like to have. I personally do 2 because I'm spamming it, and so there's no way it's not going to do that. Well, did I click save? There we go. So now we go. Boom. Boom, there we go. So I'm gonna change it back to 2 myself, just so I can, accept, all I ever do is spam. So there we go. And there we go. Now, myself personally, I just want to give that macro. I personally just use my mouse buttons, my front 2 mouse buttons right here. This middle one right here is Wind Fury. This one here is a Grace of Air. And the one right next to it is Tranquil Air. So I pretty much have my Wind Fury, and I just have my thumb, boom, boom. It's very simple. It's very high priority keybinds, essentially, to be able to drop those totems super easily. So I manually do it, but I just wanted to throw the macro out there for people that are interested in that. And now the macros out of the way, weak auras. So weak auras are these things you see over on the side of the screen. I am going to have these in the description as well. The main ones here, totems. This is the totem macro. I'll have that down in the description. It's a very good quality of life totems. You can change the group scale right here. You can make it bigger or smaller as far as however you want to fit it on your screen. You can move it around, put it wherever you want. It's super awesome just to have your totems there. But the king right here is Powered's Totem Twisting. This thing's amazing. This is the bar. You can make it big, make it freaking huge, put it in the middle of your screen, whatever you need to do. It's amazing. But the part that's the most amazing, if you click this plus button, you see the little volume thing. This is the Wind Fury bar. This is the totem bar. Don't have to change a lot of stuff. It's all good to go. If you click the big group here, you can increase the size of this thing as well. Do all that same stuff. But I would recommend to click this little sound icon and do show sound settings. And on this sound settings, it shows the sound. It's all right here. Don't change anything. But it says play sound. It will play you a sound when it goes to the bottom. I needed this when I first started. It was amazing. You needed to play a sound. I like sonar. Boom, boom. It makes that noise. It makes the noise if you have not dropped a totem and you're juggling, right? I personally did change one thing about it, but there we go. Oh, why isn't that letting? Stop it. Okay. Play the sound, yes. You can change what sound knob it's after. I put it on the master audio slider, and then you're good. You're good. It's super great. Now I did go in here to the trigger, I believe, and I set this trigger to 11 seconds. I believe it was at 9 or 10, and it kept pinging every single time. I put it at 11. You can even put it at 12 if you want to give yourself some more wiggle room so it doesn't go off so often. But this is where you would change it right there if you wanted to. But that's how you change the sound. That's how you change all that kind of stuff. And that is an amazing, amazing macro. And then the last one I do want to show is your consumables macro. This one's here. This one has Dark Rune, Major Mana, Demonic Rune. I have separated them out. They used to all be stacked on one, but you can go over here and you can move these around and kind of position them in different places if you want. If you grab the entire group, you can move the entire group around, right? But then I like to stack them on top of each other. But that's another one, which brings us to consumables. So your consumables is you want to be spamming them off cooldown when you need it. So what you're going to notice right here is I'm just going to start casting. I'm just going to spam Lesser Healing Wave, just try and ooh myself as fast as possible. There's also a 5-second rule. This is an add-on called 5-second rule. It shows your mana coming back. And it'll show the global cooldowns ticking up like this. You can see that ticking up, which we might as well, a little bonus tip here. If you want to be able to drink walk, here's how you drink walk. This is kind of a PvP thing, but I use it in PvE too. If you're like going through trash and you're trying to keep up, every time it gets right here, the server is going to give me mana, like the global setting of the server. Every 5 seconds you get mana, and I see I'm getting a little bit of mana. But what I want to do and how you drink walk is whenever I'm going to turn around, whenever it gets right here, drink walk, and I get a whole bunch of mana back. See how much mana I got back there? So I'm going to ooh myself again for a second. I'm going to heal some and drop down here. I'm going to purposely wait till right before, and I can drinking, and then the server thinks it increases your MP5 technically, and then it gives you a huge chunk. So here we go. I'm going to walk, and it gives a little baby chunk. See how it's not doing really much right there? But then here we go. I'm going to drink, boom, and walk and drink, boom, and walk and drink. Boom. Oh, I missed on that one. Drink. I missed on that one. Oh, I didn't even hit it. Okay, so when it gets about halfway through this bar here, drink. I said stop. Drink. There we go. And drink. There we go. Okay, you get the idea, right? So now to consumables. With dark runes and mana potions. These are expensive, but if you're doing progression or you're doing something to speed, or trying to min-max everything, here we go. I'm going to ooh myself here. Get myself all the way down. And then what you're going to notice is that one of these things are going to pop up. Oh, am I not in combat? It might not pop up if I'm not. Oh, it does. Okay. This is telling me use your dark rune. Right now you use it. Right now use your dark rune. Get that thing on cooldown as soon as possible. But if I keep going, it's also going to show me when to mana potion. Right? And so you're going to be using those off cooldown. Dark rune doesn't give you as much mana back. Mana potions give you more mana. This shows you, hey, you're clear to drink it. It's not going to cap yourself off. You're not going to waste any mana, and you can basically keep these on cooldown. So if I keep going, and if I use these, they'll only show up if I have the cooldown available, right? So that's another thing that I would do there as far as consumables. But now actual consumables and then gear, and we're done. I know this is a big video, but I hope this truly hope this helps, especially if you're anything like nope, I'm going to stay focused. Here we go. This is where everything's at. I'm going to start off with the key most important buffs that you need. Flask of Distilled Wisdom, insane for healers. Obviously it's 2,000 mana, very expensive, so maybe use sparingly based on your gold or whatever, only for if you're really trying to max things out, but it is absolutely game changer. It's huge. And then Elixir of Fortitude is useful to keep you alive, get some extra health in there. Not amazing, but it is useful. Mighty Troll's Blood Potion, regenerating health, again, useful. Not crazy amazing, but we're talking min-maxing at this point. And Elixir of Superior Defense, least useful because you have to actually get hit by something melee or physical for that to happen. But if you whelps are on you or something like that, possibly useful. And then Great Arcane Elixir, not very useful. This does not increase your healing, for the record. Neither does Flask of Spell Power. It does not increase your healing. It increases your spell damage, but it does not increase your like something like this, something like do I have a damage? Yeah. So increases damage and healing done. That is something very different than what this is saying. It's increasing spell damage, right? Very different. So that is not useful. But if you are dropping that fire totem, or if you want to flame shock the boss, or if you want to frost, you're doing some kind of damage, which first of all, you should probably just be healing. But this can help you in those very specific situations. That's it. You want to get full world buffs. That kind of goes without saying. That's a whole separate concept and video. I personally have swiftness potions as well, Goblin Sapper charges, Masterwork target training dummies as well. You also want Nightfin Soup. That is a very good buff. I would rank it right next to Distilled Wisdom. Amazing buff to have 8 mana per 5 seconds. Keep that buff on yourself as well. And there's also Run's Black Label. It's the drinks you drink to increase your stamina, keeps you alive. But mainly it's going to be mana potions and dark runes. It's going to be the thing there. You can farm those, auction house, whatever. Demonic runes and dark runes share cooldown. But then other situational ones, Greater Fire Protection Potion, Shadow Potion, and Arcane Potion. You can literally drink those and just have that buff on you for an hour. So you before a raid starts or in between times, you can keep these up on yourself depending on what you're raiding. And there's also nature protection ones too for later raids. Limited vulnerability potion, great for like a Nixia if you have aggro whenever she comes down in phase 3. Restorative potions, if there's some sort of thing that's cleansing things off you, it's nice to kind of drink that to help out the decursors, debuffs. And then free action potion for these some sort of AoE stun or some sort of thing that's going to stop you from being able to heal. That's very nice. It happens in Molten Core sometimes as well. So there's consumables. And now it comes to maybe what the people care the most about is gear, right? So again, as far as wait a second, I want to show my spec here. Where did my spec? Oh, I only have 2 points here for right now, but I am going to be switching that over whenever we have our raid in it tomorrow, because I was just doing some smaller stuff here, testing some things out. But I highly recommend, if you're twisting, to use the other one. We already talked about that. All right, so here now, this is going to be the gearing options right here. What I have here is 60upgrades.com. Absolutely love this website. I have a ton of different BIS lists for PvP, PvE, Shaman Tank, which I have a ton of Shaman Tank things in this channel. That's why anyway, don't get me distracted again. So how this works is you go to 60upgrades.com, log in, whatever. And if you want to create a character, you have this little option here. You can create a set. So I'm going to show you this in the back end, then we'll talk about what the actual stuff is. You create a set, you can name it, you do talent, specialization, restoration, what phase of gear are you able to want to see, right? And then you can add equivalency points. When you add equivalency points, you can do a custom one and you can name it or whatever, and you can add points to here. And you can say like agility is worth this much. Stamina is worth this much. And it gives you a weight scale to how valuable is it, right? 1 strength is worth 2 agility. 1 mana is worth, and you can set up a whole weight scale for how this whole thing works. If you don't worry. If you don't want to do any of this, I will show you all of the numbers. But if you wanted to, a preset, you can just do the preset of what the site gives you. I'm going to do a set here myself just for what this is. But there's enhancement. So healing this, all right? So if you want my numbers, and again, this is basic. There's going to be a more fine-tuned one, and I'd have to get with some more other people to kind of get a more fine-tuned list. But the healer custom thing, this is the numbers that I use. So if you want to make your own custom one and name it whatever you want and put these in, this is the simple, most easy version of it. 1 intellect is worth 1 MP5, is worth 0.8 spell damage, 0.8 healing. Those are the same thing, essentially, and is equal to 5 spell crit. So there you go. That's the stat line that I like, and it feels good. This does heavily prioritize intelligence over spell damage, and it does deprioritize MP5 because it's more so assuming you're going to be able to drink and stuff. You're probably not going to be going a lot, especially in these MC and things fights. Maybe later in the game, more MP5 can be more valuable if you have better pieces of it. But intelligence is just so huge, gives you a massive mana bar for totem twisting. Keep that in mind. Your mana bar, a lot of your mana, if you're totem twisting, is spent towards this. If you're not totem twisting at all, then yes, your healing is going to be maybe bring this up to a 1, bring this up to 1.2, whatever, if you really want to have bigger heals. Because also bigger healings lets you be able to downrank more often, which saves you mana. That's another big use of why plus healing is so great, because it lets you downrank more, which saves you mana. And if you do want to uprank, you're healing even more, obviously. So this is the stat line I use for that, but let's just show the actual gear here. You can go here. The link for this is also in the description for this. If you don't want to do any of this custom stuff and you just want to use the numbers I have, click the link in the description. You'll be able to see this. And you can go to this, click on this, and it shows you everything possible and where you can click your gear. Let's say you have Cassandra's Grace off the auction house and you have this and you're like, all right, cool. What's an upgrade? And you can see how much more of an upgrade is it? Is it worth doing 1,000 Skullomance runs to try and, you get the idea, and you can see where everything's at, how much better things are, whatever, right? So another thing is you can do edit, and the things you might want to edit is what phase you're on, right? As depending on when you're watching this video or whatever, you can upgrade the phase. You can see it in Naxxramas. I want to see every piece of gear, right? Here, let's even do that. I want to see every piece of gear for restoration. I got all my stuff here. The sources, I turned off world bosses. Most guilds don't kill world bosses. Raids, I opened them all up. Armor type, main hand, range attack, PvP rank. What are you thinking about? Save, and then it saves it, and then there it is. And if you want to do an autofill, it autofills literally everything for you. I don't want to do that because I would then undo all the stuff I have here. But now I click on this and it shows every piece in the game, and I have a lot of upgrades to do. Oh my gosh, the Earth Shatter headpiece from Naxxramas. Oh wow, there it is. That's how good it is, right? And you can see all the upgrades all the way through, right? And you can also kind of click it. So let's go to get my back to the one I have here. And if you have it and you're not looking to upgrade, you can click this little mark as acquired thing, and so you can again keep track of what items you want. And you can go through here. I'm not going to go all the way through every single one of these things, but this is the list that I currently have of what my BIS list is for what I feel like is good enough before I head into Molten Core and not have to worry about farming dungeons anymore. But there you go. That is literally everything that I could try and upload into y'all guys' brains for whatever reason. Myself personally, I am an enhancement shaman. I'm a shaman tank. I like pushing the game in these crazy ways. I'm going to be releasing enhancement shaman guides, shaman tank guides more so than I've already done, and some other things like that to just kind of make sure you guys can see the restoration shaman life, help your guild out. Myself personally, I am enhancement, but I will do restoration if the guild needs it. And this is why I'm also trying to help out all the shamans to kind of get up to speed. So sorry if this is a long video, but hopefully this was a good video. And now I got to go put all that stuff in the description. So cool. Stay creative. Thanks in the box. Peace.